Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. And I'm super excited because today I have State Representative Elle Cochran. And this woman is amazing. And her district is District 14. She lives in Lahaina. Actually, I'm not sure if she lives in Lahaina, but her
Yes.
district is Lahaina.
Mhm.
You were? Okay. So we're going to talk about that. But I want to do a little bio on her because she's awesome. So she currently serves as the representative of House District 14, West Maui, which includes the area of Lahaina. She was born in Wailuku on Maui Island. So she was born on the island. She lives in Lahaina her entire life. And prior to becoming a Hawaii state representative, she served as a member of Maui County Council from 2011 through 2018. She is the founder of the Save Honolulu, probably not saying that right, but coalition, and was a member of the National Ocean Council. And over the years, Representative Cochran has also volunteered with Maui Friends of the Library. Check this out. She's a black belt in Taekwondo, and she also surfs the Lahaina waters on her free time. Such a badass, so amazing. And what I love the most out of all of this is that she's not afraid to work across party lines. So she's wanting to cover the issues, get things done. She doesn't care who she works with. She just wants to get stuff done and happen for the people. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. Appreciate it.
So you have lived in Lahaina all of your life. Where were you when the fires broke out?
I live right pretty much where Ground Zero is located. It's a subdivision called Kilauea Mauka. And this is my family home here on Kanakea Loop for, since I was in my teens. And earlier that morning, there was a fire above me near Lahaina Intermediate School. But then the news was saying it's contained, no worries. So it was really windy and things were blowing around. I was trying to, clean up my yard, but it was just got too gusty and very hot. Came back into the house, laid down, took a nap, and got woken up by really strong smoke smell. So I'm like, what's going on? I got out of the house, walked around my yard, like, where is this coming from? And glanced off the back fence of my yard and could see flames. So it was just down below. So I got in my truck. I drove down my block and sat in my truck just watching. The firemen were there and watching them try to fight this fire, which really didn't happen. Instantly, I did call Fire Chief Brad Ventura to say, do we need to evacuate here? And he had no clue what was going on. He was on vacation. He wasn't on island. He was on vacation. Right. And he said, I go, Chief, it's Ellie. Does Kilauea Mauka need to evacuate? He said, why? I went, because there's like a really big fire right now. So he went, let me get back to you, and hung up the phone. And then a minute later, so he said, yes, evacuate. I go, but Chief, it is gridlocked up here. Oh, we'll send police to direct traffic. I'm like, that's too late. And I hung up, and I saw the firemen in front of me leave hoses, get in their truck, and leave. I'm like, well, that's my cue to get out of here too. If the firemen aren't fighting the fire, then I'm gotta go. So that's when I took off to the main entrance to the subdivision. Was already caught on fire, so there's no way to get down Ka'okolo Street. Went down and around my block and went through the farthest north road, Kahena. Went through there, through Kahoma subdivision, which is like a more northern brand new subdivision. Was able to drive down that road, but fireballs were just falling all over the place around me. And then went through the thickest, blackest smoke. It was like broad daylight to pitch blackness. Like, what? And I'm driving knowing the road is straight. So I just kept going slowly straight ahead, and somehow got out of that smoke, and it managed to get onto Keawe Street, which is the Lahaina bypass. So that curves uphill, got up to the top of the hill and parked and just looked back. And when I looked back, it was the fire just taking the entire town of Lahaina.
Oh my
So the
gosh.
home, the home of nearly 59 years of my life just was destroyed in flames in front of my eyes. At that point, pretty much in shock and numb, not knowing, like, really, am I seeing this? Is it happening? I mean, I don't know what my feelings or emotions were at that time. I think it was just sheer numbness, not knowing how to think or feel with what I was seeing. And then that was just started the process of being evacuated out of town along the bypass. Just stop, park. The police are saying, move, move, fire's coming, fire's coming. And next thing you know, it's 1 a.m. or so in the morning, and I'm finally just heading out to Kihei, where I have family up there at Maui Meadows, and spent the night there. So the very next morning, though, I came straight back with a convoy with two, business companies, commercial companies, Trilogy Boat Excursions, and Maui Brewing Company, because I needed to get back to Lahaina. And they had the road blockaded at Ma'alaya, halfway back to Lahaina. You couldn't get in, or you had to drive the most precarious roadway of Kahakaloa to get back to Lahaina, which I thought was totally dangerous and ridiculous that we would have to go that route. I actually flew off that cliff down 350 feet back in 1988. That's another story. But, I know how dangerous that road can be, obviously. So I would manage to get back with the two companies, with one of the first convoys of supplies, and stayed. I was like, I'm not going to leave Lahaina. I have to be here for the people. And I don't know if I can get back. So I've been here ever since and never left from day one. And I won't leave. I continue to be here helping as best that I can.
Wow.
So
And so did your house burn, or are you in your house right
no,
now?
no. So basically the about a street down from where the fire had really engulfed most of the subdivision here, the wind kept blowing towards the ocean. So I'm above on the mountainside, the Mocha side. So it never backtracked on
Oh,
itself, thankfully. So this area, about of 100 homes, are still here. The
oh
fire
wow.
never did come back to us, which is, yeah, I'm feel blessed and grateful for that. And so that's kind of how the wind just took everything towards the ocean. And you heard about the people, leaving cars and jumping into the water and treading for hours, and all those other horror stories, so yeah, a great, thankfully this part of Lahaina is still here.
Wow. So what did this feel like to you did it feel like a normal fire? Because you've seen the burn areas then,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I saw the fire itself and how the wind was just picking up balls of fire, really, and just landing them in spots. I think when you look at the fire and wonder why one building in the center of two buildings only melted down and the rest didn't, kind of thing, I saw how the fire just was, willy-nilly thrown all over and landed and thrown all, so it's like spots. It's like spot burning or something. I don't know. I've never seen it before, but I did actually, experience it that day. So it
Yeah.
kind of leads me to believe that's why certain things burn and right next to it didn't, because of the way the wind was just howling and blowing. But when you look back in history of the Hawaiian history here of Lahaina, there's a wind called Ka'ua'ula wind. And I'm told by our kupuna or our elders or people who have been through the experience of the Ka'ua'ula winds, that this is what that wind was. It was really hot. I mean, there was no fire yet. And the wind felt like you had just opened the oven door when you walked outside. I never felt that. But yet it was just gusting. When I was on the bypass and saw my cousin next door in another car, I was like, I opened my truck door and it just like flew open, and I had to like grab on to let until before I started walking, because I was afraid I was gonna get blown away. And I would wait till the wind died, then hurry, quickly walk free-handed. And it was that strong. So Ka'ua'ula winds if people look back in history, is very similar to what happened that day. Not sure about the hurricane that was what 500, 800 miles south of us, whether that
Mhm.
truly was the wind from that. But a lot of people, the old timers here say that was definitely a Ka'u'ula wind. So, which is a valley over from Lahaina, where winds pick up from that actual valley called Ka'u'ula.
Oh, so what do you think of the governor's response to this? Because one of his first statements talking to the press was not, he did not say we're making sure the people are housed and fed and everybody's got water and we're looking for survivors. The first words out of his mouth I'm looking for ways for the state to acquire the land for workforce housing. That was the first thing he said after this fire, after people just lost everything, including a lot of their lives. And now he's talking about taking their land. Like, what did you hear that? How did that make you feel? If you heard that, or have you heard him? That was
Uh,
the first thing he said.
so, it was weeks. In fact, still places have no connectivity, right? No cable, no news, no internet. That's still happening today. And I did hear about that and totally do not agree. And that's where the whole, you want to say conspiracy or whatever talk around the town was, there it's just going to get sold out to the highest bidder, people with all the money, and just take over all the land in one fell swoop and do whatever will they want with it. So that was a scary statement as far as I'm concerned. I don't agree. I mean, technically, every single lot, TMK number, whatever, is privately owned by someone. We all,
Mm,
whether it's
yeah,
there's a home or not on that property or a business left, it's still someone's private property. And that's why right away when I heard about the process of the clearing of and then the congealing agent, soil tackifer, whatever you want to call it, then goes down to pretty much seal down or gel all that debris and dust and ash. So when earth movers, bulldozers, or whatever go in to clear the land of the hazardous materials, when that occurs, that's my concern at that point was you need to let people back to their properties, right? To go back for closure, to sift through whatever might be left and resemblance of the life they once had, whatever. I mean, that's everybody's right, I felt, and the private property owner's right to go back. But this was not being talked about. This was not being, publicly announced. And so once I heard about this, I'm like, people need to know that this is the process, and we need to speak out that, hey, you need to let us back.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I see the government finally is, but I knew about this process 5 days in, and I was like trying to sound the alarm about it because I didn't know the timeline when this tackifer stuff was going to go down because nobody knew. And the government also had no idea about what I was talking about. But I had spoken to groups who go in after fires, during the aftermath, and do just that. They walk people by hand to their home sites in the ash or whatever to safely sift through. And it's taken, I don't know what week we are, 5, 6, 7 weeks now. Finally, they're opening up zones, so which I'm happy about. So that's one, thing off my worries, I guess, about the, what the plan is. But yeah, the taking over the land by the state, I completely do not agree with that.
No, absolutely not. And he actually also stated that, which I could not believe, he stated that anybody who unsolicits trying to purchase somebody's home can actually have fines or have jail time. So this is a free country. If you want to be a jerk, you can be a jerk. But you for the governor even to say, you can't contact somebody, that was blowing my mind. I'm like, this guy, who is this guy? He, and he first says he's going to be for the state, then he's telling people they can't solicit, which you can't tell people what to do. This guy keeps thinking he can tell people what to do and act like a dictator. But so when they say, actually somebody sent me this one thing today about the death toll. It went from 115 to 97, and now it says Maui, where is it? It's right here. It says Maui police narrow credible list of unaccounted for individuals to 12. He says so. There's supposedly 97 dead, 12 missing is what they're saying. The governor, every time he speaks, he never mentions missing people. He says the death toll. He says the people who have been rehoused. He goes into the amount of money that has been destroyed, amount of housings, and the amount of money that is of the property that's been destroyed. But he never mentions the missing people. What do you think about that?
I don't believe those numbers. I don't trust those figures. I've said it, boldly, and Governor did text me of like, how dare I say stuff like that? That's my truth. As I have not left Lahaina and been speaking to the people here directly and hearing about all their losses and looking at the fence line along the bypass, the yellow ribbons mean missing, the white crosses mean death, and go count those. Yeah, way more than the numbers that are being said out there. And then not even mentioning all the people that that did get swept out to sea, which nobody will ever find, right? That wind was howling as I came in with Trilogy Excursions. Those guys are boat people. They said that would have been even hard for them to tread water in, and if you grabbed onto something, that would make you a sail and sweep you out. And so that in itself, who knows what that number is? You'll never find those people. And maybe there's even the people who were their other half or family members are gone to even be here to say they're gone. I mean, what's that number? I'm sure that's occurred. I mean, a house I can almost see the rooftop of that was once there, 10 people died in that one home. So how is it that these numbers are so low and they keep decreasing? What are they trying to minimize? Are they trying to make it so it's not so horrific and traumatizing? I'm sorry, you're not going to take away the horror of what's happened, no matter how you spell it out, no matter how sugarcoating you do it. It's never going to happen. It's in us all. We lived it. We're experiencing it till today. You can't undo it. It's not going to be undone. I don't care what.
Why do you think he's doing that? Especially, I mean, and can this information of the true numbers get out there? I mean, it's definitely going to get out there with this. So if you guys are watching, standtogetherhawaii.com, please share this video. Please share it. Take parts of it, stick it on your TikTok, get it out there, because obviously for, whatever reason, the government here and Governor Green is not telling the truth to the world. And what he's saying now, Representative Cochran, is that it was about climate change. But the thing is that there's been over 1,600 scientists from around the world signed a declaration saying there's no climate emergency. There is climate change because the world heats up and cools down all the time. There was the founder of the Weather Channel, which is John, I'm skipping on his last name. He actually also has stated that there's no weather emergency. There is climate change because it happens all the time. And then Professor David Dilley, who is a 50-year meteorologist, and he was a meteorologist for the U.S. Navy. He actually talked about the Malkovich cycles and how the Earth goes in an elliptical cycle around the sun, and we were the closest to the sun 8,000 years ago. So that was when the Earth was the hottest. Now we're coming out of that, and the Earth is actually cooling. And then a friend of mine who works for national security actually told me that they have proof that Haleakala on Maui is cooling and not warming up. So I don't know why the governor is going. Well, actually, I do know why the governor is going to the United Nations and telling the world that this is climate change when Are you familiar with that? Are you familiar with the fact that 1600 scientists have signed a declaration stating there's no climate emergency?
Well, what I do see here, having been here, almost 59 years of Lahaina, Lahaina meaning merciless sun. So it's been notoriously hot to begin with. But growing up here all my life, running around town with no slippers on, hot asphalt, hot sidewalk, it never burned my feet. But I know back then it was like 80s, mid 80s, low 80s, mid 80s was really hot. I mean, 85, 86 was unheard of. 88 was like, oh my God, you know, and then now low 90s is the norm. So I do know firsthand that here in Lahaina, our temperatures have risen, and that may be due to the fact that we no longer have greenery around us. We once upon a time, all these dead, fallow, uh, brown dirt fields around us and dead grasses, which also are fuel for fire, should be cleared up. What it was green, lush sugarcane fields, which we don't want to monocrop anymore. But the point is, and once upon a time, Lahaina was known as the Venice of the Pacific, right? There was 33 free flowing streams in West Maui. We lucky if we have two, three of them, maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So it was lush and green, and cooling effects of the environment too. So there's I think a collective compilation of reasons that add to the heat of this area, the hotter climate basically, amongst other whatever atmospheric stuff too, I suppose. But at first hand experience, we are hotter, and I think there's a combination
In that area. Yeah. So there was a no-fly zone. So let's talk about the Constitution. I want to remind people that the Constitution does not give people their freedom. We are given our freedom from God. The Constitution protects our freedom here on this country, in this country. And they had no press. They violated the First Amendment with not allowing the press to go in and not allowing people to go in and just take pictures. And they didn't even allow, they had a no-fly zone. So if it was about safety, we want everybody to be safe and don't go in. Why the no-fly zone? Not letting drones go over to see the property, to see other people's their own property. Those are violations of the First Amendment. So why would they do that?
I I think they closed down Lahaina due to safety reasons is the number one reason, right? And I are they hiding things? What I do know firsthand, because I'm so close to the burn zone, is that nightly there's way more action happening at night. I mean, or maybe we can just see the headlights of the vehicles or whatever's going on in there, the spotlight, the lighting of the work being done. Not that we can see exactly what they're doing, but there's just a lot of activity basically at night. And I was told by people who work during the daylight hours, they're not allowed to come back at night. Do not return. So it's like, all right, why so being adamant or closed door with that? So I don't know. I don't have an answer, but a lot of people think that there's some stuff going down under the dead of night where they don't want eyes, upon what's happening. I don't know exactly what is going on there, but I do know there's a lot of activity at night. And then the barriers, dusk fence, what? So you can't see what's going on fence. I I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. But
Yeah.
it's so many things where no one's really open and forthcoming about truly what they say, I guess, bigger picture. FEMA came in, walked through, find the dead, remove the removal of cars and things to clear the roadways so the work vehicles can get through and get to site, because I've seen it where things have disintegrated so fast that the nails just fall right in a row with the metal stayed, but the wood structure or whatever burned and disintegrated so quickly that whatever held it all together, metal screws, metal nails, just fell in line as if it was just nailed, you know what I mean? Just perfectly
Mhm.
on the ground. So I know they had to go in to clear those kind of things. But I, I mean, anyone's guess is as good as mine because there's not really a detailed, I guess, account of what actually is happening. My biggest fear right now is that they're not doing enough for the runoff, the remediation, best management practices for runoff. We are coming into our winter season per se, right? We are a rainier time of year. Although Lahaina
So Representative Cochran, I don't know if your thumb is, over your speaker.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's
Okay.
much better. So say that last part again.
So what I'm very worried about is the remediation, or sorry, the runoff, you know, and that they're doing best management practices for the upcoming rainier season for Lahaina. We don't get much rain, but when it comes hard. And all this debris, you know, the ash, everything on the land right now, you know, hopefully they have barriers and things to hold that back, like the wattles that are stuffed with mulch, you know, with natural stuff in there to help sift through what may flow through and into our oceans. So that's been I know there's been some great people talking about that, Maui Ocean Center people and all the different marine people, you know, environmentalists, they're working on that. But I haven't heard of a set plan per se. I think they have little 8-inch wattles, but the group is talking about like 32-inch ones, huge ones, you know, like couple to 3-4 deep of those. To hold back all of Lahaina, you got to have something big. You can't just use your normal equipment stuff that you use on a little house lot, you know, a building site. We need to go big because it's a lot of runoff that will occur, and I'm just afraid that no one's really putting serious you know, thought, as in the government or FEMA or whoever that has that kind of money and equipment to do so. And we're trying to, I don't know, say, please listen and take some effort here. So it's important that that word gets out, because we can't lose our ocean environment. Because all this stuff goes into that water, it's over. I'm sorry. I don't think any lifetime will clear that up, you know, really. And it's be such a huge loss on top of all the loss we've already had.
Yes, absolutely. So speaking of water, who owns the water rights to Lahaina? And also, actually, before that question, or with that question, they turned off the water. So I was watching this thing where it said that the water company had to talk to a taro farmer where the water was going to get his permission to send the water to Lahaina for the fire. I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't understand it. But the water was turned off. There was actually a video that I saw of a man saving his house with his garden hose, and then the water died. He said the water just stopped in his hose. So do you know about that?
I mean, I didn't see that or experience that myself. I heard all about, those types of incidences. And the water system that feeds Lahaina is the county Department of Water Supply. The intake is in Kanaha Valley, which is right next to Lahaina Luna High School. The water and the intake up there is, caretaken by Hans Michael and Auntie Emily, who clear it of debris, rocks, branches, leaves. So when the stream flows, it goes into the intake. That then gets sent up into the water treatment plant, which is above Lahaina Luna High School, treated, and then it gravity feeds down into a couple other tanks, which feed basically Lahaina. So that's like the infrastructure there. And there has been obviously CWRM, or Commission on Water Resource Management, throughout the years have made it to, that it's equally shared. I mean, Kuleana, Lo'i farmers should have first priority. And that's been, so it's designated. Um, Aquifers or water, they've designated the water use basically from the streams, the different valleys and the water. So that's what's in play right now. I thought I heard something about because of the power was out, thereby pumps could not operate to send water. But I'm thinking the water's up above everybody. It should be able to just gravity feed down, with or without pumps, basically. But so
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there exactly. I think water department should be asked that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I think they should have an answer and explain what happened that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I was also, I read somewhere that the firefighters were actually trying to use water out of a well or something, and then they didn't have enough fuel for the generator. Just all these little, everything. So
Yeah.
there was another one that I wanted to ask. Oh, are insurance companies denying claims for Maui fire? Do you know about that? About insurance companies and people trying to get their money
No.
for their homes for that?
I have not heard about that. One thing I did hear was an insurance assessor was just down the road here. There's all the homes are gone, but the assessor went and offered the landowner $250,000 for their property, which, before this fire, our lots were, up in the upper hitting $1 million, I mean, just, and tear downs were going for what, $800,000 or whatever. So to say 250,000, but families right now are at wit's end. Perhaps they just got out of COVID, right? Got back on their feet through COVID. Now there's like, oh my God, we got to start all over again. A lot of them are just over it. Unfortunately, they're like, they don't got the spirit or the energy or anything to deal with this right now, and look at a couple $100,000 and say, hey, it's better than nothing. I have nothing left. It's dirt with ash on it. I'm going. I'm taking the money and going. But that's not right. I don't think so. That's all I heard of an actual firsthand experience of someone, right just down the road from me. And we got to address that. I think we got to figure out what we should have insurance people like in a room, or like at a meeting or something, and ask them the hard questions about, or ask every personally people, what are their experiences, how are their insurance adjusters dealing with them, firsthand, and what kind of options are they giving them, or something. Because I didn't lose any dwellings, I don't have that firsthand experience with the insurance adjuster. I just had rooftop blown off. I mean, shingles and things. So I had the adjuster come to my rental homes on Kapuna Street to see the damage. And that's the one experience I had with insurance adjusters was for my roof.
Got it.
And that seemed to work out. I haven't gotten word back about what they're going to cover or not cover yet. So I'm still waiting for that decision to come.
Okay. Thank you for that. And so are you familiar with weather modification? There was an act in 1976 that, they've been actually studying it for a very long time before 1976, and that I think it was the 40s or the 50s. But are you familiar with weather modification at all?
No. You mean
okay.
the just changing the weather, people like changing the weather.
There's a company that actually, in fact, let me look it up here, because if you guys want to go to standtogetherhawaii.com, I have all of these, there's all this information that you can find there, and it goes directly to the sources. This one for weather modification, let me just look it up. It is the act was an act of 1976, and it says, let's see here, the White House, this was approved in October 13th, 1976 by memorandum for the president. And it says a review and analysis of research efforts and needs in weather modification technology. The enrolled bill would direct the Secretary of Commerce to conduct a study which would include an assessment of the potential economic importance and legal, social, ecological implications of expand weather modification activities. And it keeps going about, it's a huge bill. I can actually send it to you. That was approved October 13th of 1976. So there's also a company that literally states people look up at the sky and see clouds. We see potential because they can actually seed clouds to create rain. And this is all happening as far as you can see. You can find the company that's on, again, standtogetherhawaii.com under Maui fires. But if you're not familiar with that, with the weather modification, then I do have other questions for you around different stuff. So the legislative, let's see, this is from, so I don't know if you're familiar or if you know that the Maui, maybe you probably do, the Maui finance officer, I don't know if he's called an officer or a CEO. Actually, let me look it up too, because I have his information here. He is, are you familiar with the smart cities, that the Maui was set to be the first smart city? Because that's where I'm going with this. There it is.
I mean, I heard talk about it. I haven't seen it in writing. Was that a county initiative? Was that spoken by the county or the state, or who started
this
talking about that? Or whose
Let me look it up right here. It says it's U.S. Collaborative Smart Grid Demonstration Project in Maui Island of Hawaii State. And it's for during the period of 2011 and 2016, there has been a smart community, and smart stands for, oh, sorry, you guys, I don't have the whole thing, but it's surveillance is the S. And I'll get the whole thing and do another video on that. So, okay, let me start over. During the period of between 2011 and 2016, there has been a smart community project called Jump Smart Maui, held in the island of Maui, Hawaii, U.S., with the objective of effective utilization of renewable energy that had been penetrating on a large scale and widespread deployment of electric vehicles, and smart community was constructed by Hawaiian and Japanese stakeholders, headed by the New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization of Japan. So this was a collaboration between here it's a Mitsubishi Research Institute and the U.S. So if you're not familiar with that, I will send you that information so you can take a look at that. Again, and if you guys are watching, anybody watching right now, you can go to standtogetherhawaii.com, look at Maui fires. You're going to see all of this information. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, well, two reasons. One is the Oriental Corridor transportation. Actually, let me. I want to read directly from that place, because that is from Lahaina to I'm sorry, I can't say the names that well, but it's a Oriental corridor that is for transportation that would go right through the town of Lahaina. And they couldn't build on Lahaina because Lahaina is a historical city, and now that it's gone, they can actually do this. But are you familiar with any of that happening, the Oriental corridor that they're talking about for changing the transportation?
I remember Jump Smart Maui. I was on the council when that happened. I actually flew to Japan, Korea with back then Mayor Arakawa to seek out who would be the best company to start the electric car grid of sorts, the charging stations, and just learn how they do their electrical bus systems, stuff like that. So I remember us going to check Nissan, Samsung, Toyota, all that. I don't recall Mitsubishi though. And, to go to their main factories in those countries to see what type of technology they had to offer to this island for us to move forward with that. So and I don't know anything about an Oriental corridor through Lahaina. Everyone needs to remember, just because the fire wiped buildings out, it didn't wipe away the zoning. It didn't wipe away the fact that it is still a historic district, 1 and 2. It's a national landmark. That doesn't just get wiped off the face of the earth, but that's still intact. So to think that you can just, because the physical historical buildings aren't there, that the land is no longer a historical site, it totally is. So I don't know about all that, that they can just go in and just create this thing, smart city, smart whatever. There's a lot of hurdles you got to go through. Again, there's a community plan. There's a countywide plan. Those things didn't get erased. It's still there, right? So business districts are that, resort districts are that, historic districts are that. So I don't know, people got to realize, don't look at this as everything's gone. You need to look at the actual zoning, the actual ordinances in place, stuff like that, because that's still intact, did not get removed.
Thank you for that. That's important for sure.
Yeah.
So Josh Green, the governor, Josh Green, he actually suspended 7 housing laws, because he put out an emergency proclamation, which he's been the only governor in the entire country to put an emergency proclamation out, sign an emergency proclamation with absolutely no emergency that was happening. It was his judgment call on this is an emergency, and he suspended 7 laws, including the Sunshine Law, which he reenacted because of the the people protesting for that. But do you know about those laws that he suspended for housing and land and people's property rights?
I mean, I can't keep up. He had how many different proclamations and emergencies, and add this, subtract that. And I mean,
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know where we're at. I just listen to what comes out of his mouth, and press releases that are not even told they're even occurring until they occurred, so I don't know. It's all sort of, everything's up in the air as far as I can tell and see. The Sunshine Law is a law that I worked under for 8 years as a council member. Then I become a state house representative. And the first thing I noticed was there is no Sunshine Law. And so when we have our closed door meetings and this and that, you don't need to alert the community, 6 days in advance for agendas, so they can prepare and, create testimony and find time to share their voice on any agenda items. I said out the gate, I don't like the process here, which I still don't like it, because it leaves the public's voice out of decision making, really. I mean, big time. And then it also is just, the closed door meetings just don't sit right with me. Things should be out in the open, in the sunshine. And I still don't agree. So I think sunshine should be everywhere. There's a few things that can be cumbersome with it. So again, let's revisit the law and let's tweak it, but let's impose it on every single decision maker, elected official, because you're supposed to be there for the people, not special select ones that you just have one-on-one meetings with or behind closed doors. And I'm not really invited to any of these closed door, whatever, special meetings ever. I'm only there as a representative and do the big majority caucus meetings or whatever. And that still doesn't sit right with me either. Anything closed door, I don't like.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's right for the general public. And
Absolutely.
somehow we can, I don't know. I hope that can change. And I think right now, we had a movement, I think back in 2018 or 19, about Huli the system, Huli to flip, to change the system. And if anything, I was telling people, now's the time. It's the voice of the people right now that need to band together with a solid, unified voice, and to let it be heard and known everywhere. But again, that's the hard part, right? Is to come with one solid, unified voice, because everyone has different ideas and what have you. But I hope one day soon that we can all come with that one voice, and to not even ask at this point, but it's demanding, because it's the voters and it's just the people, the community's right to say, you're there for us, right? Us elected officials are there for the people and the community, not, your special interests or people with big money only. So we'll
Yep.
see how that goes.
So what can people do like right now as far as like who can they contact about that? Because that's really scary to think that our government officials have closed door meetings without any public input, and that is going to affect the, our communities. Like who can people talk to about, hey, saying, hey, this is not Pono. You guys need to be transparent with us. Is there somebody like that people, what stand can we take?
Well, I mean, I think it's about, and I don't have social media. My phone got burned in the fire. So I reactivated this old iPhone 8 that I'm on right now. But it's just being public, whether it's through social media, whether it's like, like bombard the governor's office, your legislators, or there has to be a big, public kind of showing of sorts. We don't want like violent protests or anything like that, obviously. But emotions are high right now. Things are
Yeah.
heated. People are frustrated. People are, and stuff's gonna happen. I can't promise that, somebody might not blow up and go, freak out or whatever it is. It's just we're all being pushed to this limit right now. But hopefully we can be be productive and be somewhat, just sort of cordial, respectful to one another while we work through this. But it has to be made public, people, and hold people accountable in the public eye. Like, we don't want closed door meetings, then we need to make this very loud, open, and public, and bring the people on notice there. Hopefully they show up and they will hear the people out. So like the state has created these different committees or task force, whatever, working groups. And a lot of my fellow legislators don't feel that it would be productive to come actually to Lahaina to hold meetings. And I'm like, what? Why not? I mean, the people of Lahaina are not going to be happy. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
People of Lahaina won't be happy to have people from another island who never came here to experience, to see, to meet the people who've been affected, but yet they still want to make decisions upon us, and I'm like, you all do how you think you're going to do this, but I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to fly. And in the end of the day, people aren't going to be happy about that. So,
yeah,
fair warning, but I think that, Lahaina discussion and meetings need to be in Lahaina with the people. Just
absolutely.
There's just, to me, it's a no-brainer, but I guess for others, I don't know what their reasons for not wanting to come here or refusing, actually, flat out refusing to come here. I just don't know why. That's not my, it's not my take on things. So we'll see how that goes. But again, the people need to put the pressure on. I'm one person. Yeah, I'm a fellow legislator, but I'm just one person. And we're going to need way more pressure to be put on.
Are there other representatives like you with the same, on the same par as you, like in the same boat?
Yeah. I have like, Rep Della Bellotti had come over. She's been here 2, maybe 3 times already. Rep Peruso, Amy Peruso, has also come to visit. And Rep Mahina Poi Poi of Molokai have come to visit. And, Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke had come to see me personally one day. I've yet to see many others. House Speaker Scott Saiki asked to come and visit on tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to his, arrival and visiting. General Hara and his team, Brigadier General and Major and all these other people had come to visit too, directly to actually the Kilauea Malka Park hub. So, I just appreciate these people taking time out of their busy days too to come. Josiah Nishita of the mayor's office came to visit the other day too, to ask what's needed at the park itself. And number one need is water. We don't have any type of water there. So little by little, I'm noticing that the powers that be are coming around and physically, coming to Lahaina, and in particular the hub that started up here on Lahaina Luna Road. So that's, yeah, I'm gonna embrace that,
That's
and
fantastic.
let's work together where we can. Where
Absolutely.
we don't need to go there. You know what I mean? I always say let's move forward on things we yeah, see eye to eye on, and the others, we'll just not deal with that at this time. So that's
Got it.
sort of how I always operate.
Awesome. Well, I just have a few more questions, and I just thank you so much for your generous time right now.
Sure.
This is from a friend of mine who works for national security. Should there be legislation to limit property purchase of billionaires, wealthy, or foreigners? Larry Ellison, who owns 98% of Laani.
Lanai,
That's
the island of Lanai.
Lanai.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. As I'm told, there is, oh, wait, hello?
Yep,
Did
I'm
we
here.
just
I can
disappear?
hear you. Yeah, yeah.
So what I'm told, there is a moratorium on, no one can sign over titles and deeds right now, to stop any type of transactions like that at this time. I think it's a good thing to stop that type of purchases, I guess. But again, it should be every uh private property owner's right to do what they want to do with their private properties. So, but I think on the bigger picture scale, yeah, somehow we need to deter that type of just buying up, all the lands by a rich single whatever person. We have Bezos here, as you mentioned, Larry Ellison of the island of Lanai. So that has been a fear of a lot of people. And that's where that one statement you opened up with, governor saying state's going to take it all over. So then what does that mean, right? Is he going to seek someone like these big bazillionaires to just buy it all up in one fell swoop? I don't know. Is that being talked about? Perhaps those are closed door meetings happening. I have no idea. And so yeah, there's a lot of ifs and doubts, and I've mentioned this, and governor has been not happy that I've been one to just speak, from my heart and be open and transparent about things. And that's how I'm always going to be, though. And it
I
may
love it.
ruffle feathers, it will rock the boat or even tip over that boat, but you know what? So be it, because I'm not changing. I'm just going to
I love
tell
it.
it like it is, because that's what
Good.
people need to hear. We cannot sugarcoat. We cannot, minimize. We cannot tell people what they just want to hear when it's not really the reality of things. We gotta just be straightforward, and
Yeah.
people appreciate that. And it's very, very rare or uncommon in politics as a whole, in government, and it's unfortunate.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, and I can speak from being in government. I can speak from, I'm, and that's why I think a lot of fellow politicians, what have you, are not fond of me because of how I do things. But whatever, I'm gonna
I
keep
love
doing it.
it. That's what we need. We need your
Yeah,
badass self, your black belt, and
that's
all of it.
and well, and to me, it doesn't matter how big or rich or anything. It's about doing what's right for
Yeah.
the people and for our environment and community and our culture and all that good stuff. That's what it's about. Always has been, always will be. So I'm not gonna veer away from that.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I have just two questions left. So here it is. So when the governor said, "Where I'm looking for ways for the state to acquire the land for workforce housing," that word workforce was also stated by the Maui County Finance Director, because he is serving on a national artificial intelligence committee, and this is where I want to read, because it literally says workforce again, that the Artificial Intelligence Explanatory Committee established by the National Association of Counties will examine emerging policies, practices, and potential applications of AI, as well as its consequences, according to a Maui County news release. The 15 committee members, let me skip that part. This will focus on examining county governance policies and practices, operations and services for constituents, public trust, privacy and security issues, and workforce productivity and skills development. So how do you feel about the potential that AI is going to help govern the Maui island of Maui? And should there be any legislation that limits the capability of artificial intelligence running an island, a community, governing it? Are
Yeah,
you familiar
I
with
mean,
that?
I don't agree with that running and everything. I think that's definitely going to have a lot of hurdles in order to enact something like that. Again, I'm not at those tables and those meetings. Maybe they are light years ahead already in, connecting the dots there, but I'm not aware of any of it. And this should be something that should be publicly spoken about. For one thing, it should get feedback from the community itself that it's going to directly impact, you know.
Yeah.
So that the word workforce housing is it's a good word. We want to obviously house our workforce, and but I think a lot of times it's used, it's a buzzword in a way. It's a buzz statement in a way that just says, yeah, it's workforce housing. Yeah, 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 yeah. When really, is it? Are you truly going to do that? When I finally had gotten in touch with the mayor, had come by the Lahaina Gateway where I was down there in the early days of it. And I was like writing handwritten notes because I had no phone connectivity, anything to anybody had a connection to this county. I wanted to talk to the mayor. I wanted to talk to somebody in the county of Maui, anyone. And finally, 6 days later, the mayor had come through with 3 of his cabinet people. And, I was like, hey, thanks for being here. And, I just want to know what's going on. What are the plans? And one of the guys asked me, we have land. We found land with infrastructure. Do you think we should build? I'm like, why is that a question? And he's like, well, we've been talking about it at the EOC table. I'm like, why talk? I was like going, why are you talking? Just build already. You should have been. This is years ago. You should have been. So I've yet to see anything happen on that front. And that was 6 days after the fire when that actual question was asked of me. And I'm like, well, yes, start, go, hurry, and I don't know. And it's just, why are you still talking? Why is that even still a question right now? And, these emergency proclamations to build. Well, where the hell is it? That happened in January when I got inaugurated into the state House of Representatives. The governor on that day, opening day, brought out this emergency proclamation about housing, and we're like, okay, what the hell has happened since even then?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, again, people saying what people want to hear, and yet there's no substance behind it. There's no action behind it. It's just a bunch of rhetoric. It's a bunch of talk. And, put your money where your mouth is already. I don't understand. So that's the frustration on my behalf anyways, with government and how they keep talking and do nothing. Just
yeah, definitely. I think we are 2 action ladies, that's for sure. So the governor, he's able to create these emergency proclamations without legislation, and there's no expiration. Like in the bylaws, it literally states that the emergency proclamation and that the governor can do an emergency for 60 days, and that's it. But it seems like these emergency proclamations, if he doesn't like something, he's like, oh, it's going to be an emergency, and then he's going to change the law. How can you do this without legislation? And how does the legislative body, where's the checks and balances for him to stop this? Because he can keep going, oh, another emergency, and change the laws. He's literally suspended laws this way without legislation.
Yeah. I mean, we probably need to make legislation to affect that. But it is not right. There is no check and balance right now. And I think that's what the frustration and just people being upset about, which rightfully so, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, it's that's like creating being God over everybody in a sense, right? It's your way or the highway, and that's just how it's going to be, everybody, which I don't agree with, obviously. And I know every other person in this state does wouldn't agree with something like that, or not agreeing with that, because it's occurring. It's
Yeah.
occurring every day with us, and that's hence why people are upset, why people
Yeah.
are just getting to this limit. And I don't know, something's gonna give, just has to. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I know it's not going to be pretty. And I think governor and all the powers that be, mayor and everyone else need to really be open and honest and truthful with the people. I think from day one, and I stated it in the early, that a lot of things were made on ego, and I think a lot of it was just people being too proud to admit that they don't know, that they need help, that they need guidance from others who have been here, done this, been through these disasters, recovered from them. And why not learn from that? Why not invite these people to the table to help us move forward? And I know every area is unique and different. That's fine. But you know what? Let's use what we can, not reinvent wheels, learn from others and implement them, for us to move forward with our recovery efforts. That's all I would like to see from day one. That is what I thought we should be doing, but it's just been a nonstop uphill battle just to get the powers that be to admit that they need help. It's like, got it, everything's fine, everything's good. No, it's not. It never has been. And it continues to worsen as far as I'm concerned. And there's so many unanswered questions still, and things are exacerbating into work, big, big issues. I mean, there we have huge issues, yes, but nothing's being, you know what I mean, taken care of from the beginning. So all that's just compiling into way bigger things. And I just, there's no simple answer, obviously. There's
Yeah.
so many different facets of our issues that nobody ever thought to experience, but other places have. So let's reach out. So I did get to meet a state representative from Washington, of all places. She literally flew over here, met with me, had a group with her, and they are collectively looking for these answers that I'm saying right now, looking to other states who've been through fires, countries too, and see how did they recover? What did they
Yeah.
do in the aftermath? So I've been in touch with that legislator, and we're gonna, we got to move forward together. And the
Absolutely.
outpouring from people internationally, not just the continent or other islands, it's international love for
Yeah.
Lahaina that is coming to us. And they want to know that their energy, effort, and time is going to good things, and it's not
Yeah.
just whatever going to what stupid ideas or things that just aren't going to be beneficial to us all. So we just can't lose these supporters and these people who want to give as much as they can give, and that's wonderful. So I
Yeah.
just want to thank
Absolutely.
everyone for their time, energy, and effort and resources, because I tell you, it keeps coming daily, and it's just
Yes.
incredible to see. So
Wonderful. Is there a
what
website that people can go to support? I know that I have some on Stand Together Hawaii, to the Maui Food Bank, Hunger Heroes, and then there's also a link that goes directly to each family has their own GoFundMe, and I have the Excel sheet. So you can go to standtogetherhawaii.com, click on Maui Fires, click on Help, and you can choose where you donate. But is there another website where people can donate?
Yeah, I don't I mean, the Kilauea Malka Park Club doesn't have anything like that. Just people been coming and just giving, where, they come over and donate their time. Volunteers are very needed, because as we grow, just people, literally boots on the ground is one of our biggest asks right now, just to help. Because when people come through, we walk them through the supplies and have, give them what they need if we have. But primarily, that the hub was done in answer to the needs of Kilauea Malka subdivision, where I live, the 100 homes, where from day one nobody had come back or realized anybody was here. So we created a couple little mini hives or hubs within the subdivision, but I knew we needed to get more acknowledgement and recognition. So I went out to the county park and just put up a tent, a table, and a chair and a banner, and said, okay, someone's here and we kind of need some help here. And then it just kept growing to what it is today. And it's just awesome. I think we'll be here for a long time, because my vision has always been a one-stop shop for our wellness and recovery efforts. And that means anybody and everybody, right? On your journey through your wellness, we all, I had my mental body, mind, and spirit breakdown probably 2.5 weeks in. I just felt like I was possessed or something. But I have a doctor that I speak to just work through things, just check in with, and so it's about wellness and recovery. We're all dealing with grief, the 5 stages on our different levels, different pace, learning to try and cope, learning to try and pace ourselves. And that's what, I want. I have masseuses now coming 2 days a week to help with that body work. FEMA is there 7 days a week to help through registration and any type of FEMA efforts or questions people have. So it's morphing into something I feel like that's going to be around for a while, and to help community on all the different levels, for us moving forward into the future. And I hope to create like this one-stop shop thing. Whether we have ministry there to help people with prayers or getting prayed over prayers, and just medical help or whatever, any needs that the people have. We're thinking of, Halloween's around the corner, and we want the schools will be opening soon up above us, and we want to do like a fun family event, right? Where nothing scary but fun, and just have a family gathering with that. I've got big tents. I have one really big tent, and I want to have community meetings. I mean, I guess the Westin charged the county council $850 or something to hold that meeting in their ballroom. Like, come on, this is a public community event where people want to pour out their heart and soul to, decision makers. And be nice if it could have been like a little comp thing, but they're in business, right? Businesses are businesses. They need profits, but still. So I'm hoping that I can have a nice, safe place for people and have these types of public meetings, whether it's with state officials or county officials or whoever, business, maybe the boating community wants to have a place to converge and come, and stuff. So that's also what I would like to utilize the park as, a gathering place, on all different levels. So
that
that's
sounds
sort of
really
what
great.
we're building. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm building. And it's just, so we're there. We decided our hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Every day, but we're closed on Thursdays and Sundays. So today, a day of rest for today. And unless deliveries, people have to do the deliveries on those days, we will be there to accept deliveries, obviously. And the masseuses are coming on Wednesdays and Fridays from 10 to 2. So, once we get a set calendar of events and scheduling, that will be set and put out there for more and more people to put in their schedules and calendars so they can come and visit.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Also, there's a website. It's Lahaina Fire Victims Registry.org. Lahaina Fire Victims Registry.org. That is a person to set that up because they want to get the accurate number of missing people and of people who are still alive and surviving this. So if you know of anybody, if you're watching this and you know of anybody who hasn't put their name there, that's a count that the people are trying to get accurate counting for the missing. Representative Cochran, thank you so much for your time and your everything that you're doing. I mean, you're in there. You're at ground zero, and you're making things happen. You're supporting the people that you represent, and you're such an amazingly strong woman. And speaking truth and letting people know, hey, that's not the right number. That's not the right count. There's no way that can be 97 dead when this fire destroyed the entire town like that. I mean, it was crazy. So I really appreciate you. Mahalo so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time too, and getting the word out and this, information and education out. So I appreciate that. Let's be in touch, and hope to see you maybe down at the park. So
yes, I need to get over
see
the
you again.
Lahaina for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Good.
Well,
All right.
very
Well,
much
you take
mahalo
care.
to you.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.